This is CBC Here and Now.
Well, the Valentine's Day snowstorm came, and you know what? It hasn't left yet. Ashley and I will have the details coming up.
So if they come to the gathering place, we'll provide them with a meal. If they have nowhere to go, we bring them inside and give them a place to stay warm and stay out of the weather.
A St. John's shelter is offering shelter from the storm. Just ahead, an interview with Paul Davis.
She asked for my card, and I did give her my card. I didn't know something great was about to start with that.
Just totally in awe of her energy and her positive attitude, her love of Newfoundland.
And later in the show, how a Nigerian woman in St. John's shared her story with a stranger and turned it into a children's book. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now, and happy Valentine's Day. It was a messy one on the Avalon. A snowstorm that started overnight continues to beat down on the eastern portion of the island. It's bringing rain, snow, ice pellets, closing schools and canceling flights. Jeremy Eaton has been out in the nasty weather nearly all day long, and he joins us now live. So Jeremy, what's it like out there now?
Well, those ice pellets that you just talked about, you can sort of see them there behind me, maybe in the lights, but the wind picks them up and it smashes you in the face, so it's a lot of fun. Well, the day started for a lot of people with a lot roll left behind in some cases.
And our apologies about that. Some technical problems outside. No surprise considering the weather, I guess you could say. So let's bring in Ashley now to find out how much snow came down and what's in store for the night.
Yeah, Carolyn, as you can see from Jeremy, it is not nice out there. We are in the lull, though, at the moment, which is those ice pellets that he was talking about. We can see lots of snow on the radar, this circulating area of low pressure. It's moving all of that snow at the moment right now. And if I zoom in a little bit, there's not a whole lot happening on the radar, but that's why we're in this lull. But there is some ice pellets, and it's really not being picked up very well through central either. Things are starting to get pretty stormy through central as well. So temperatures right now sitting around -2, that wind chill in St. John's at -11, and those winds are quite gusty. Easterly, east-northeasterlies between 50 and 70 kilometers per hour. That visibility is down as well. But we did see some blizzard conditions today, but if we take a look around, Gander's starting to get a bit stormy, Clarenville, Holyrood, all showing that snow. And really, this is the story as we head through the night tonight. We still have that winter storm warning as well as blowing snow advisories further west. But the winds are going to be the story as we head through the night tonight. We're looking at those winds gusting upwards of 100 kilometers per hour as we head through the overnight, even 100 to 120 for parts of exposed areas along the coast. And that will continue through the morning. It's also going to continue with some snow. So we'll break that all down for you coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, this stormy weather is especially hard on vulnerable people who struggle to find shelter in St. John's. For many of them, the gathering place is a place to find relief, to get some food and some warmth. Joining me now is the executive director of the gathering place and former premier of the province, Paul Davis. Thanks for speaking with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So the gathering place is open today at a reduced capacity. How important is it to make sure that you still have some services available for people on stormy days like this?
Oh, absolutely critically important for so many. Our shelter continues to operate in the nighttime and in the daytime because our shelter is a little bit removed from the main center, but then we move our guests back to the main center for throughout the day. So we're very pleased to have a good complement of staff, or guest support staff and kitchen and maintenance staff who are in today, taking care of guests, and they'll move back to our shelter again this evening.
And what kind of services are available today?
Well, we're at a very, as you mentioned, we're kind of at an essential service level. So we do have a space for shelter guests to come into during the day. We're still serving 3 meals today for shelter guests and for anybody else who comes and knocks on our door and needs a meal, which happened a few times today. And we also have our social room, which is broadly used. So there's television there. There's some board games and play a game of cards. There's access to a telephone in our center as well, and plus we have a music room, an art room, and some of our guests avail those services as well. We got guest support staff and maintenance staff and kitchen staff who all managed to brave the elements and come to work today to provide those services. So hats off to them. We greatly appreciate them. We have a super staff, and the work they do is really important. So I just wanted to point out our thanks and appreciation for them getting in today.
And this is the kind of day where it can be dangerous, really, to be out on the streets with the cold. It's hard to get around, low visibility, heavy equipment on the roads. How difficult are storm days for the guests that you see at the gathering place?
Yeah, it can be really difficult. Many of them rely on public transportation, on Metrobus. And we quite often look at what Metrobus are doing that helps guide us as well. We see, government are operating and so on, because a lot of what we do as well is help guests navigate government programs and services. So those offices are closed, then we're not able to provide that assistance and help in many regards. But we do. But having a place to go for some, we do have some who in the daytime don't have a place to be. So if they come to the gathering place, we'll provide them with a meal. If they have nowhere to go, we bring them inside and give them a place to stay warm and stay out of the weather.
And we've been hearing about the increased level of homelessness in the city. How many people are you expecting to see today?
Well, we were just under capacity last night, and my understanding, most recent update I have so far today, is that we expect to be at capacity. And in the last weather event, we work with Newfoundland and Labrador Housing on an extreme weather plan. So we're in a position tonight that if we need to take in some extra people that don't have any alternatives, we're in a place to be able to do that this evening. So we open up a section of our building, and we bring in additional staff, and we'll put them there for the night so they don't have to stay out in the weather.
Okay, yes, because the storm certainly isn't over yet. The winds are expected to pick up tonight. Paul Davis, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, well, let's try this again. The weather seems to also be wreaking havoc on our technology. So let's go once more to our Jeremy Eaton, who's out in the stormy weather all day and is live right now. So how's it looking out there, Jeremy?
Carolyn, it's like deja vu all over again. Well, basically what's happening now is those ice pellets that we were talking about and that Ashley has been talking about are blowing around and smacking me in the face. So that's what's happening right now. But I took a drive about an hour ago around town just to see how the roads were, and the plows have been out. Some of the side streets up to your hips, so it hasn't been amazing today out there. And if you listen in the air, you can hear the symphony of snow blowers blowing away all that snow that fell and keeps on falling. But the snow did start falling, and then it stuck around, leaving a
Oh, we can't catch a break with Jeremy tonight. Apologies once again on that. So we're going to move on to some other news right now. Police arrested a man following a crime spree that spanned from St. John's to Gander last week. The RCMP say last Wednesday morning, someone broke into a funeral home in St. John's and stole a vehicle. Then that afternoon, police allege the same person went to Clarenville and stole tools from Canadian Tire, a cart full of merchandise from Walmart, cash from the Clarenville Inn, and gas from a gas bar. And later that evening, the man allegedly stole more cash, this time from a bar in Gander. Then early Friday morning, the same man allegedly broke into a store in Gander and stole a large quantity of cigarettes. So police arrested him on Friday night. Video surveillance helped police identify that suspect. The 39-year-old is facing a long list of charges, including theft and breaches. He's due back in court next month. And still with crime, the RCMP arrested a woman yesterday for allegedly using a disguise while stealing from 2 businesses. Police responded to a theft from Home Hardware in Bay Roberts after a man and woman left without paying for a number of items. About 2 hours later, police say a woman left a grocery store in Carbonear without paying and got into an SUV matching the description from the previous theft. Police later stopped the vehicle and found a woman and a wig they say was used in both thefts. The 36-year-old woman also has an outstanding warrant from the RNC in St. John's. She's now facing charges of theft, disguise with intent, identity fraud, and obstructing a police officer. Meanwhile, the RCMP continues its search for this man who they believe was involved in the theft from Home Hardware. He's described as being Caucasian, about 5'10", with a stocky build and a tattoo on his neck. Police say he was wearing a black hooded winter jacket, blue jeans, red sneakers, and a black baseball cap. Anyone with information is asked to contact the RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Well, it's the second day of the inquiry into the impact of the child protection system on Innu children and families. And today there was an impassioned plea from an unscheduled speaker. A former Grand Chief spoke about a tragedy that struck his family 31 years ago, and he called on inquiry participants to speak from their hearts. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
More than 3 decades ago, 6 children died in Davis Inlet. 5 of them were Gregory Rich's.
31 years ago today, I lost my children in a house fire.
Rich and his wife weren't home on February 14, 1992, when the fire broke out.
31 years has been very hard for us.
Today, the former Innu Grand Chief spoke at an inquiry examining how the Innu people have been treated by the child protection system.
I'm not here to make a political statement or anything. I just want to encourage the participants in the inquiry to share everything of what's happened in the past to them, because it's really important. It's really important for the future generations to come and the current generations, because I understand how they feel of losing a child. And I want to encourage the participant to speak from the heart and do not be afraid.
Rich has spoken publicly before about overcoming grief and fear. As Grand Chief of the Innu Nation, he worked to improve conditions for his people.
And I fought real hard when I was the Grand Chief, and I'm also the chief with the provincial and federal governments. So I'm very honored to be here today to be part of this inquiry.
Less than 1% of the province's population are Innu, but 16% of the people in the child protection system are from Innu communities. Children in the system often lose their original language and culture. The inquiry is holding hearings over the next several months. A final report is expected in October. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, we have an update for you now on the school bus situation on the Northeast Avalon. Last night, we told you how the Newfoundland and Labrador English School District shut down transportation provided to 20 schools by Gladney's Bus Limited on the weekend. Officials cited safety concerns with the company's fleet and its operations. Now, the school board says transportation for students at Beaconsfield Junior High in St. John's, Holy Spirit High, and Topsail Elementary in Conception Bay South, and one route for Paradise Intermediate will resume once schools reopen following the storm. Now, bus services will also resume for Cape St. Francis Elementary in Pooch Cove, as well as 3 schools in Torbay. 7 schools in the region are still affected by the bus suspension, but the board says it's aiming for services to be restored by Monday. Well, it is Valentine's Day. We're asking some young students what the day means to them. That's coming up.
Yeah, my Valentine's Day gift to you was a lovely snowstorm. We still have lots more on the way as we head through tonight. And stay tuned. Later in the show, I'll speak with the Coast Guard about how sea ice conditions are slow to grow this year.
don't go away.
Some people understand folk music to be like singer-songwriters. Some people think of it as the kind of music that we play.
It's almost easier to ask what is not folk music.
I'm the one out licking shopping carts, I hate to say. I have tried to be seen to be all that you've been.
It's sort of like a feeling.
I feel like it's a natural progression for our folk music in this province to start looking different over time.
This weather forecast has been brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. Whatever you're up for this winter, discover experience packages at winterupnl.ca.
All right, time for a look at the weather. It's the thing that most people are talking about today. The snow came and it stuck around, leaving a lot of people on the Avalon, Burin, Conegra, and even into Central digging out that mess today.
Yeah, while snow isn't uncommon, obviously, in mid-February, not everybody is excited to see it. Some business owners have been dreading the impact a Valentine's Day storm will have on the flower business, while other St. John's shop owners are missing out on a big night.
Yes, the restaurant industry hopes for big business on Valentine's Day, but that's not happening today, unfortunately. Chinched Bistro took to social media to ask those with reservations to consider rebooking rather than flat out canceling.
Sort of post-Christmas, this is the next sort of boost, if you will, for the restaurants. So losing Valentine's Day is it's a big deal. The message that we would try to be getting across more than anything would be just, instead of completely forgetting that Valentine's Day existed today because you can't go out, just think about planning your Valentine's Day for another evening. A lot of people who, again, had reservations that were like, yeah, we'll totally come another night. Certainly within the industry, people are happy that the message that's getting out there is just come out and support us on another night, and lots of shares and likes and stuff like that. So hopefully it gets out there and everybody sort of understands the message.
Well, here's a look at some of the heroes of today. They had their work cut out for them for sure. This is a snowplow's point of view of today's storm.
Yeah, our video producer Danny Arsenault rigged up the GoPro to a blade of a snowplow, and it's clearing out our parking lot.
My goodness, that is a lot of snow. How much snow, Ashley, fell today?
Yeah, we definitely needed a lot of snowplows out there. So far today, St. John's has recorded 20 centimeters of snow. Gander, half that at 10 centimeters, and then St. John's East has recorded about 23 centimeters. Now, it's pretty impossible to measure because it has been blowing around for a good chunk of the day today. And we're looking at the current wind chill and temperatures into the minus single digits. So it's definitely cooler. -2 right now in St. John's, -11 with that wind chill. And we've got those wind chill values into the minus teens through Gander and Badger as well. And then up across Labrador, cool tonight, or today I should say, -18 right now in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Not too much of a wind chill, a little bit along the coast, but overall it's a quiet night for you. So taking a look at what's going on right now, we've got an area of low pressure offshore. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but lots of snow associated with this, especially across Cape Breton. Nearly 30 to maybe even 50 plus centimeters of snow has been recorded from today. Same system, and we're seeing some of that snow through Central as well. It's starting to work its way back in. Not really showing up well on radar, but it's certainly there and should show up soon. Now we're in a lull right now for eastern Newfoundland as well, but if I just keep the radar beam steady there, you can see we're seeing some ice pellets in that purple. It's likely mixing in, but we also have some flurries in there as well. This will generally intensify. The snowfall rate should intensify as we head through the next couple of hours. Now, it definitely was forecasted to see this lull. And within, say, 2 to maybe 3 hours, this should change back over to no snow. Southeastern Avalon, though, still in that lull at this point. You could be seeing some freezing drizzle as well. but the winds are going to stay pretty ramped up, especially through central with some of that heavier snow tonight and winds gusting between 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. Now, as I advance that snow by midnight, 11 or 12 o'clock tonight, should be starting to set in, and then we're starting to get into some of those higher winds as well, 90 to 100 kilometers per hour through the overnight. Even more so as we get to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, especially for the metro area. So even though the snowfall will start to pull away as we head through 6 o'clock, especially through central and at least the Burin Peninsula, still areas along the northeast coast, including the Avalon, will be seeing this snow and windy conditions. These winds will be out of the north between 100 to 110 kilometers per hour by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Still seeing that snow, but it is starting to taper off. Eventually, that will be said and done, but we're still going to see those winds somewhere between 70 to 90 kilometers per hour. So whatever snow does fall is still going to be whipping around, leading to reduced visibilities through a good chunk of tomorrow. As far as the rest of the province is concerned, especially across the island, it's actually looking pretty beautiful with lots of sunshine in the mix tomorrow. Some cloud cover across the Big Land, and then we'll see some snow develop as we head into the evening and overnight for Lab West and central areas of Labrador as well. And really, we won't see those winds ease until we get into the overnight and early Thursday morning across the island. As far as snowfall amounts go, what's left to fall, still quite a significant amount, especially through central, another 10 to 15 centimeters as we get towards the Avalon, Bonavista Peninsulas. We could be talking about another 15 to 20 centimeters falling by the time we get into tomorrow morning. And likely in the metro area, it'll be somewhere between 10 to 20 left to fall. So if you have not tackled that snow, you're going to want to do that because there will be an awful lot of it as we head through tomorrow morning. As far as temperatures go tonight, into the minus single digits, minus double digits up across Labrador, minus 20 it looks like at this point for Happy Valley Goose Bay tonight. And then tomorrow, we're looking at those temperatures still into the minus single digits. Again, those winds quite breezy, but lots of sunshine as you head west, and temperatures just barely below zero, between -1 and -3. Winds a lot lighter, especially for the west coast, and then up across Labrador. You're looking at coastal areas. Take a look at these temperatures, really across the board, minus single digits. Haven't talked about that for a while, and it's going to stick around for a couple of days as well. Get into the full long-range forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, for some, Valentine's Day is a chance to share some extra love and affection. For others, it's all about the chocolate. Here now's Amanda Gear stopped by St. Andrew's Elementary in St. John's to ask grade 2 students what Valentine's Day means to them. Have a look.
Love is the people that you love and you feel grateful for them.
It means when you really like somebody. It's a thing about kindness and helping others.
What is love? It's like caring for someone. I would say love is showing kindness. Valentine's Day is not about just about love. It's about showing kindness. Love is a thing where you spread joy and laughter, and you always give somebody a high five or a hug and make them and fill their bucket. Love is when you love somebody like your best friend or your friend. Love is just for caring, and it's not about loving things.
My family.
My teacher. My sisters. My family and friends.
My dad and pop.
My mom and dad. My everyone. Mostly everyone. Freya.
That your best friend?
Yes. My parents. My best friend Elena. She is the sweetest little girl you could ever meet.
Saying compliments?
By giving a smile on their face.
By helping them and being kind to others.
Care for them. By giving them a compliment.
Being kind, helping them.
I give them cards. And you say nice things to them.
Just saying to them, I love them.
I show her with words, I show her with playing with her, and I show her that I'm her best friend. Sharing gifts to my favorite people. Chocolates, Valentine cards, mostly flowers. Eating chocolate.
No, me too.
I just like Valentine's Day because it's how you show kindness, and if you are scared to say that you like someone, you can do it on Valentine's Day.
Well, we've certainly been seeing a lack of sea ice so far this season, and the Coast Guard is going to give us a little update coming up.
You've heard the stories.
Never. You've seen it like this where you had your hospital closed.
Now, meet the people.
I was scared. I was crying.
If he gotta go to Clandor, he's not gonna.
Next week, we'll bring you to Bonavista, where healthcare closures are hurting everyone. starting Wednesday on Here and Now.
Well, there is no shortage of snow in this province, but there is a shortage of ice. Sea ice levels are well below average this year.
Yes, they are. And I met up with Brad Durnford to learn more about that. Brad's the superintendent of ice operations for Atlantic Canada with the Canadian Coast Guard. So here's some of our conversation.
So this year we've had a very warm January, as I'm sure most people noticed. We're approximately 3 weeks behind in ice growth this year compared to the average 30-year median that we look at. So for this year we are behind a little bit, but with the recent cold snap, the ice is starting to form up nicely now off Labrador, Belle Isle Strait, and in the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
So this winter marks the third La Nina in a row, and that's only the third time that that's happened since 1950. So La Nina is a cyclical weather pattern that happens the colder waters off of South America and California, and that leads to, here in Atlantic Canada anyway, a more variable jet stream and more periods of freeze thaw. So how has that contributed, how has La Nina contributed to the ice formation?
The current pattern we're in is certainly volatile when it comes to ice growth. The storm track, of course, is affected by our jet stream, which is moving up and down over Newfoundland, below Newfoundland, above Newfoundland. So if the storm tracks are in the Gulf of St. Lawrence or over the island, we get an influx of warm air, and we also get wind. And the more wind and warm air there is, the less ice there's going to be, because there's ice destruction. The storms bring waves. Every little bit of ice that starts forming probably gets destroyed by the waves. The warm temperatures don't promote the ice growth, and we're definitely seeing that volatility the last 3 years in this La Nina period. Last year we had one of the highest numbers of ice taskings in the last 6 years, because there was a fair bit of ice around. The storms kind of tracked the right way last year. The year before is much like this year. Storms were tracking over the Gulf of St. Lawrence, over the island, and we saw less ice because of it in 2 out of the last 3 years.
So January was well below normal, and we're just starting to see a little bit of ice growth. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, well, January was warm, so with the delay that caused in ice growth, so we're basically 3 weeks behind. Those 3 weeks in January are key to a heavy ice year. Those 3 weeks basically give us a base of ice, and then from January, the late January into February, the ice thickens. So it makes more and more ice. The thicker the ice is harder to destroy, so it's not, storms can go over, it might not destroy as much. But with the temperatures and the wind we had in January, we're 3 weeks behind, which means we'll technically won't have 3 weeks of growth, which probably means the ice will melt and move out faster this year.
And so how is that affecting your ice breaking operations?
So we started really early in December. We had a few jobs in Labrador. Then things slowed down a fair bit, not a lot of ice breaking requests. Now, since our latest cold snap, we're seeing an uptick of requests, and currently we're escorting ships in around PEI in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, Bay of Chaleur, and we're looking at possibly having to escort the ferry in the Strait of Belle Isle in the coming days if the winds and temperatures continue.
And so, looking ahead now, what does the ice situation look for the next couple of months?
So we just looked at the probabilities of what's going to come in February, and it looks like we'll be at or below normal temperatures. So that means chances are we'll continue with the ice growth for February, and we'll start seeing a few more jobs. And then once we hit March, we hit the part where fishing boats want to leave port and start their fishing season, and then we do harbor breakouts, and we also need spring to help us get those ice out.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
And people keep asking me, where do you get these vibrant colors from? So I said, oh, it seems people here are friendly and they want to share in my culture. So I said, why not?
Well, this vendor from St. John's Farmers Market has become a muse for a mainland author. Her story just ahead. Winifred Awoka is sharing the story of her life, and it came about in an interesting way. She was approached while selling Nigerian crafts at the St. John's Farmers Market. Now, Winnie is part of a new collection celebrating Black women across Canada. Here and Now's Zach Gowdy explains.
How did it feel when she said, I want to write your story?
I was short of words. I said, are you sure it's my story you want to write? She said, yes, you have a great story. I said, really? She said, yes. I said, oh, why not? Let's share it then. If you say it's a great story, then I'm going to give you details, you know. Hello, my name is Winifred. I'm the owner of the Signage Clothing and Craft. We're in the St. John Farmers Market. Signage Clothing and Craft started like in 2018. I moved to Newfoundland 2016. And it all started with me wearing my African fabric, going to church, going to places. And people keep asking me, where do you get these vibrant colors from? So I said, oh, it seems people here are friendly and they want to share in my culture. So I said, why not? I started making bags. I started making hair bonnets, purses, cushion covers, anything you can think, because it's 100% cotton, so you can use it to make anything you can think of.
And you're importing all these beautiful fabric from Nigeria?
Yes, I bring them all the way from Nigeria. So when the pandemic started, I started looking for information, what to do, what can I use to help too. So I thought of using the fabric to make face masks. The first time I made it, it was not fitting well. I kept trying until I got a perfect fit. And I brought it here to the farmers market. Farmers market is the center of St. John, right? You meet every culture here. You meet because they want to eat lovely food. So this is the center of attraction. I brought it in here and somebody walked up to me, a lady called Rachel. I didn't know she was just visiting, you know. She said, wow, and she said, oh, you have a face mask too that is vibrant. Oh, can I see? She said she's happy to see, you know, someone from Africa doing well in St. John's. So I just gave her a background of my story, and she bought a lot of things. She bought the face masks, and she asked for my card, and I did give her my card. I didn't know something great was about to start with that, you know.
Honestly, I took her business card and tucked it away. And forgot all about it. And then opportunity came where the Pomoja Institute was asking for short stories about Black women across Canada and what they've been doing during COVID. Hi, my name is Rochelle Gooden, and I work for Toronto Public Library. So the Pomoja Institute, they're a charity based in Toronto, and they got a grant, a Canada grant, to write stories about Black women.
And what did you see in Winifred that gave you the spark of an idea that said, there's a story there, and I want to tell that story?
I was just totally in awe of her energy and her positive attitude, her love of Newfoundland, making it her home. I thought that was fascinating. I thought that tells a story in itself. So I pitched the idea and found her card, connected with her, and she totally didn't even remember who I was because she speaks to so many people. And I jogged her memory and I said, hey, you know, do you want to tell your story? My story is Winnie and the Magic Masks. So this is the compilation, 8 stories, Strong Women, Strong Communities. As I said, short stories made into audiobooks, available for free, like through their link.
How do you think this story and this project fits in with the idea of Black History Month?
You know, this is about being seen. And of course, some people will think Black History Month is about all the things that happened in the past. And sure, you could think that with the name, but it's really about Black present, Black futures. And it's so important that we spread that word as well.
It must have been very encouraging and very validating for you as a person and the journey that you were on.
Yeah, I have to be sincere. Newfoundland made it real, made the story come to pass. I've been to other countries. I've been to Scotland, I've been to Norway, but when I got to Newfoundland, people here accepted me. When my neighbor said hello, I was wondering, is he talking to me, you know? Is he talking to me? He said, yes, I'm talking to you. So, if the people here don't welcome you, it wouldn't be a story right now. Of course, I will shy and I run into my shell. But people here were willing to share, they were willing to help. I call it my newfound home. So, they made me to have that story.
Oh, how nice. Such positive energy there. Well, in other news, paintings by late Nova Scotia folk artist Maud Lewis sold at auction in Ontario over the weekend, including one rare piece. 7 Maud Lewis works were on the block at the Canadiana and Folk Art Auction in New Hamburg. The owner of Miller & Miller Auction says the iconic 3 Black Cats painting exceeded expectations, selling for $37,500. A Lewis postcard also generated some excitement. It's a tiny painting with a handwritten note on the back. Combined, the sales totaled more than $168,000. Well, if you are in the mood to dance but can't manage a late night, there's a new trend popping up. Parties that start and finish early. A group in Vancouver is hosting an event called Home by Midnight. Doors open at dusk and partiers head home by the time the clock strikes 12. Banit Brash went to check it out.
It may seem like any late night party, from the DJ, bright lights to the booze, but all these guests share a goal.
A common denominator is that desire to be home early.
This is Home by Midnight, a group dedicated to parents and those who say they love to dance, hate clubbing, and need to be up at a reasonable hour.
So you can get home and get in bed by midnight. And then get up in the morning and be with your kids or take them to soccer practice or just, go about your day.
While in many clubs, the party starts late, here the beats are bumping, nice and early. These moms have waited months for a night like this.
We like to have fun, but we're all parents of children that are in elementary school, and we need to be home by midnight.
We really wanted to dance, but I don't know where we could go where we wouldn't feel like we're 1,000 years old.
Parents are letting loose, living their best life for the night, joining their closest friends.
Yeah, well, often, you get these opportunities at limited events, like weddings, and so you gotta wait for a wedding before you get to go dancing.
Similar parties are also being hosted in the U.S. This New York Times article mentions Before Midnight, another event for music fans who are juggling children and careers. Meanwhile, this group started in 2018, and after taking a break during the pandemic, the dance shoes are back on, with parties every other month, and the guest list keeps growing.
We've sold out every night we've done this.
Their hope is to bring the party to other parts of the province. And while some of these parents are ready to call it a night, these party goers in the Granville Entertainment District are just beginning. Banit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, a British widower has spent decades creating a remarkable and touching Valentine's tribute to his late wife. Farmer Winston Howes started creating this heart-shaped meadow shortly after his wife, Janet, died in 1995. He planted thousands of oak trees in a 2.5-hectare pasture on his farm in southwest England. The meadow can't be seen from the road, and it was a family secret for years until a hot air balloon pilot drifted over and snapped a picture. The tip of the heart points towards his wife's childhood home. They were married for 33 years.
Kind of nice to be out around when there's nobody else around. You get that quiet and get to just be together with each other.
Well, a positive spin for a stormy Valentine's Day. It's not the first time we've had a dumping of snow on February 14th. A look at some Valentine's days gone by just ahead. we get to Ashley's weather, it's not the first time the island has experienced stormy conditions on Valentine's Day. We searched through the archives, and the last big Love Days storm we had was back in 2017. So here's a look back at that day with a report from Here and Now's Garrett Berry.
It's a wild one.
It's a good idea if you got a nice warm place to stay there today.
Waves crashing, wind gusting to 100 kilometers an hour, blowing snow that just keeps falling. St. John's won't see relief until well into Wednesday. It's the kind of storm that makes it hard for a meteorologist to do his job.
You're going to want to keep that in mind. Whoa!
Strong enough to shut down the city. And it did.
Are we the only two people out in this weather?
Every school in the St. John's area shut down. All provincial government offices in the area were closed too. And to see of cancellations at the airport, it's hard to land in this. But when a storm crashes Valentine's Day, there's still hope for those last-minute lovers.
Today, there's going to be some guys that are going to be stuck. So we said, all right, if you're in the downtown area and you own a pair of snowshoes, come on over and we'll take care of you and get you your Valentine's chocolate.
It could have been a Valentine's disaster, but some couples were saved by this flower shop.
I've had a couple of people for deliveries, some couples that are buying for each other because they didn't get them yesterday, and they're probably not going to leave their house today.
But people did get out of the house to go romancing the storm.
It's kind of nice to be out around when there's nobody else around. You get that quiet and, yeah, get to just be together with each other.
For those who didn't pick up flowers or chocolates, here's another way to say I love you in Canada. A nice shovel driveway. It's also just great exercise.
Just to get out of the house, boy, I stayed in bed as long as I couldn't stay no longer.
The shoveling isn't over yet. Snow and high winds are going to keep going all night. Up to 60 centimeters could be down by the time this is all said and done. Garrett Berry, CBC News, St. John's.
Wow, a look back at Valentine's Day in 2017. Kind of similar to today, and the storm is expected to continue overnight tonight as well.
It sure is. Not probably going to drop 60 centimeters of snow. I'm sure there are drifts that are that high. But yeah, we're still looking at about another 10 to as much as 20 centimeters through the overnight tonight. So finally, though, by tomorrow afternoon, it should be all said and done. Let's take a look at what the rest of your Wednesday is going to look like. Now, we will see some snow move in across Lab West and eventually across the Big Land. But we're watching our next system move in. You can see a lot more green on your screen than you have, well, than we did with this last system. So it is looking like we're going to see a bit of a warm up through Thursday, and this is going to bring the potential for some showers. This will change over to rain into the afternoon hours for a good chunk of the island on Thursday, and then stay as snow up across Labrador. That will move through fairly quickly, though. We shouldn't see too much in the way of accumulation. Some areas may see some, but overall, with these temperatures between 2 and 4 degrees, we definitely will see that change over to rain. Now, up across Labrador, different story. Still hanging on to those mild temperatures, though, hovering just around the 0-degree mark or maybe a degree below through your Thursday. Nain will get into some of that colder air, about -13 through the day, but again, this will be a snow event for Labrador. Not nearly as windy today either, but that will move through Thursday evening. In behind that, eventually that snow will end up across the Big Land. Then not far behind it is another system. This will bring snow again to the northern peninsula, another rain snow line, which means another warm up and or mild conditions, I should say, and the potential for some more rain again. Now at this point, depending on the track, at this point though, we're looking at the northern peninsula staying in that snow. Anything south of that will change over to rain. Another day between 2 and 5 degrees as your daytime highs for your Friday. Up across Labrador, getting into that colder air though at this point with some sunshine, but temperatures into the -20s, -teens. Eventually you'll see your snow and as the evening rolls through on Friday. Long range forecast though, after that we'll say goodbye to the mild temperatures back down below 0. We may see a few peaks of sun in the mix on Sunday, but overall it will be a lot of weather over the next couple of days, that's for sure, at least in the long range. Central Newfoundland, you're looking at some sunshine by Saturday. Like your temperature is -7, so back down below 0. Same thing for Sunday, not too bad of a day for you. And then for Western Newfoundland, into the minus single digits again. Some Saturday looks beautiful, but some flurries will return for Sunday. Now for Labrador, nice stretch of weather into the weekend. Temperatures into the minus teens, minus single digits for Sunday. And then the flurries, the story for Lab West on Saturday and even into Sunday. And temperatures right back down to where they should be, into the minus teens and minus 20s. Just before we leave you, this is a great shot of Cape Spear the other day. I think this was yesterday, actually. Connie shared this great shot with us. If you have any weather photos, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Wow, some powerful waves, no doubt. Going to be more powerful waves tonight with all the wind that we're getting.
Northerly winds. Yeah, absolutely, especially along the coast.
Yeah. Well, stay safe out there and watch your back when you're shoveling.
Yes.
Hope to see you again tomorrow.
Good night.